Sounds like the finest opera hall anywhere in the world. Let's come back here more often. So often you have sound systems that aren't the greatest.
There's nothing worse, making a speech when nobody can hear you. This is beautiful and it's a great place. And Memphis has to like me because I have a lot of friends here, and they were not happy a year ago, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, and now they said, we can't believe what's happened in terms of crime, in terms of what's gone on and the job that these people and some of the great people, many of the great people in the audience have done. And that's why I'm here today. In fact, we were going to cancel because we have a couple of events going on, as you probably noticed. So they said, oh, we'll cancel Memphis. I said, we're not canceling Memphis for anything. We're not canceling. We're not going to cancel Memphis, but we do have some big things happening, and very positive, I have to say. So before getting to our important discussion this morning, let me provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury, which is a very good name, as it turns out. That was a name. They showed me 20 names. Sir, what name would you like? I didn't like any of them. And then I get toward the end, I said, you got to be kidding. What? Operation Epic Fury. I love that name. And it's very appropriate for what's taken place, if you know, in Iran, because we knocked out their Navy, we knocked out their Air Force, we knocked out their anti-aircraft, we knocked out everything. And we did it with fury, actually. As I announced earlier, based on preliminary conversations between the United States and Iran over the past 2 days, I've directed the Department of War to temporarily postpone planned strikes against major energy and electricity targets in Iran. They have very, very big, new, actually, and very expensive, billions of dollars it costs to build them. One missile, one of our powerful ones, and it comes down to the ground like it was made out of dust. But to determine whether a broader agreement can be reached, we've had very good discussions, very, very good discussions. And you have to understand, I know my whole life has been a negotiation, but with Iran, we've been negotiating for a long time. And this time, they mean business. And it's only because of the great job that our military did is the reason they mean business. They want to settle, and we're going to get it done, I hope. So hopefully this will be possible, but no matter what, we'll ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. They would have had one if we allowed the Obama deal to stand. That was the Iran nuclear deal, they called it. They would have had one. Marcia 3. Well, I'll tell you what, Martha, we would have nuclear weapons up there when, would you say, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or 4 years ago? We would have been in a position that nobody wants to be in. We won't allow ourselves to be in that position. Over the past 3 weeks, the United States military and our partners have been decimating Iran's military capabilities with overwhelming firepower, skill, lethality, and force, and we're destroying their ballistic missiles and drones programs with launchers down by more than 90%. We're hitting their launchers at a level that nobody even thought of before, 90%. They can't launch them, and they don't have very many of them, because most of them have been annihilated. But we've annihilated their defense industrial base, eliminating their Navy. We had 158 ships that down. I said to my people, why didn't you capture the ship? I said, were they good or not? They said, they were great, sir. So why didn't you capture it? We could have used them. They said, it's more fun to put them at the bottom of the sea. But they're not there anymore. So we eliminated their Navy, Pete, right? And that's gone. We eliminated their Air Force. We eliminated all of their air defense, everything. We eliminated everything there is to eliminate, and we eliminated them. We eliminated their leaders. We had the first set of leaders. They're gone. Then they met, 88 people met. And it's sad. I mean, it's sad they couldn't have made a deal. We could have made a deal with them a long time ago. Then the second set, 88 people met to pick a new leader, and they're now extinguished. And then they're meeting again, but now nobody wants to be the leader. It's one of the few political jobs that nobody wants anywhere in the world. Nobody wants it. It's a very dangerous job. My job is dangerous too, but their job is worse. In other words, we're systematically dismantling the regime's ability to threaten America. They're not threatening us anymore. As Commander-in-Chief, it's my sacred responsibility to protect our country from all threats. For decades, Iran refused every opportunity to renounce its nuclear ambitions, and in recent months, its own negotiators bragged to our representatives about having enough material to make nuclear weapons. And that was supposed to deter me, but it didn't deter. It made me more anxious, and it just made it much more important. This mission that we're all on together was much more important, and we did it quicker. Iran's missile capabilities were also growing so fast that it would soon have become virtually impossible to stop them. Once they have a missile, once they have what they were building was incredible. And you got a little glimpse of it by the fact that when they came out, they started shooting all of their neighbors. Their neighbors weren't fighting with them. They were getting along okay with their neighbors. And I was surprised. Everybody was surprised. And it actually worked in reverse because their neighbors then turned against them. Now Iran has one more opportunity to end its threats to America and our allies, and we hope they take it. Either way, America and the entire world will soon be much safer and will be a much more secure planet. In addition to all of this, we're working on so many different things. You know, our economy was fantastic. We had a Dow at 50,000. They say it couldn't happen in 4 years. It wouldn't happen during my term. But if I got anywhere close, it would be a great success. Well, in my first year, we hit 50,000. And with the S&P, they said, even more difficult. They said it would be impossible to hit 7,000 on the S&P. And we hit that in our first term. And then, unfortunately, I called Pete, I called General Kane, I called a lot of our great people. We have great people. And I said, let's talk. We got a problem in the Middle East. We have a country known as Iran that for 47 years has been just a purveyor of terror, and they're very close to having a nuclear weapon. We can keep going and get that 50,000 up to 55 and 60 is no end, or we can take a stop and make a little journey into the Middle East and eliminate a big problem. And Pete, I think you were the first one to speak up, and you said, let's do it, because you can't let them have a nuclear weapon. So we are now having really good discussions. They started last night, a little bit, the night before that, and I think they're very good. They want peace. They've agreed they will not have a nuclear weapon, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll see. You have to get it done. But I would say there's a very good chance. And it began when I said that I won't be. We were planning tomorrow on shooting down some of their power plants, and we're going to hold that up. Hopefully we won't have to do it, and hopefully we can make a deal that's good for all of us, including the Middle Eastern allies that have been very good to us, including Israel, that's been a great partner in this fight. They've really been a good partner in the fight. They fought hard. But we'll see what happens. I think there's a very good chance we're going to end up in a deal. And so we're giving it 5 days, and then we're going to see where that takes us. And I would say at the end of this period, I think it could very well end up being a very good deal for everybody, as good as if we went all the way and just literally annihilated the place, which if we don't have to do that, that would be a good thing, not a bad thing. In addition, after the appalling lines and massive disruptions at major airports nationwide last weekend, I am again demanding that Democrats in Congress immediately end their disgraceful shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security and restore the full funding for airport security and the TSA. They are holding it up because they want to take care of illegal immigrants coming into our country. They want to take care of criminals that are in sanctuary cities. They want to take care of transgender for everybody, literally the mutilization of our children, men in women's sports. But what they don't want to do is give us anything to do with citizenship for voting or voter ID. Can you imagine We're the only country that doesn't do voter ID. Every country does voter ID. You know, brought to my attention today that we're the only country that does mail-in voting. Mail-in voting means mail-in cheating. I call it mail-in cheating. And we got to do something about it all, and it's part of Homeland Security. And I'm suggesting strongly to the Republican Party, don't make any deal on anything. The most important thing we can have is what's called the Save America Act. Don't make any deal on anything unless you include voter ID, and you have to be a citizen to vote. You have to show citizenship to vote. Very easy to do. It's very insulting when they say people can't do it because they don't know how to do it. Anybody that can't do it, I think it's a very insulting thing to say. The Democrats are fully to blame with the struggle of the great American public is going through at the airports. They're going through a big struggle right now, and we just put ICE in charge, and they're helping TSA, the agents, and they're working together so far very well. I actually suggested that in the airports they take off their masks, and they did that. In the airports, I'm a big believer in the mask because we have, you know, Biden allowed hundreds of thousands of killers into our country. We're rapidly getting them out, by the way. But they would go after these people if they knew exactly who they were. But in the airports, it's different. I didn't love the look in the airport as you get off the plane. So I made a request and they agreed to it. So they're not going to be doing that. We would also bring out, if we don't have enough, we will bring out the National Guard and, you know, where we need it to help out at the airports. But we're not going to let this happen. It's extortion by the Democrats. They're holding up money that's already been approved, and now they're willing to go $5 billion reduction in ICE in order to get the approval on a deal that they approved, the great big beautiful deal, which is the biggest tax cut in history, the biggest regulation cut in history. They want to basically renegotiate a deal that they already approved, and they're doing it largely for a criminal element. So also the Democrats are putting our country at great risk during this period of time, a period that they call a war. They call it a war. We call it a military operation. Their leaders during this time are, as you know, as you want to say, they're in a never land. Schumer is gone. I mean, he's a Palestinian. He should be fighting on the side of Palestine. He's actually become a Palestinian leader. I don't know. I've never seen a man change so much. He used to be pro-Israel. Now he's pro-Palestine. I've never seen anything like it. And, you know, he's worried he's going to lose his next election, which it only depends if anybody runs against him. If anybody runs against him, he'll lose. But he's gone very wacky and very dangerous for our country. But we want all of those things. We have to have them. We want voter ID. We want proof of citizenship as part of our funding. We want to merge them so that we can get the great, big, beautiful bill in action, and we can get the America and Save America. You know, they called it the SAVE Act, but nobody knew what the SAVE Act was. So I said, you have to call it, under any circumstances, you have to call it the Save America Act, because everybody knows what that is. So they want funding taken away from the ICE patriots who are responsible for getting rid of the criminals that Sleepy Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, and his gang of thugs in the White House. You talk about weaponization. They weaponized everybody. You know, when Pam looks at somebody, oh, it's weaponization. They've indicted me. What they've done to me and everybody else, it's a disgrace. They're the weaponizers, and what they've done to people, can never let that happen again. We can never let them get away with it again. They are the greatest weaponizers. Fortunately, it didn't work because here I am with you. So it didn't work out too well. Didn't work out too well. But they want to have people come into our country. And so many of these people are murderers. They're drug dealers. They're the worst criminals anywhere in the world. They want them in our country. They don't want them to come out. They make it almost impossible, but we get them out anyway. They should have never been allowed to enter our sacred ground. These people should have never, they came from all over the world. They came from all over. They came from the Congo in Africa. They came from all over South America, Asia, everywhere. And they were from jails and mental institutions. They were drug dealers. They were murderers. 11,888 murderers. In any event, the Democrats are being blamed by the American people for the catastrophe going on right now at our airports and at other points of transportation and beyond. And we want the public to know we're not going to let them out of this trap that they created for themselves. And I'm suggesting very strongly that the Republicans, in going for the Save America Act, that you weld it into exactly this, because voter ID is part of Homeland Security. Think of it. We're talking about two separate items, but they're really the same. Voter ID is part of Homeland Security. And citizenship, proof of citizenship, is part of Homeland Security. So I think it should be welded in. I think it should be together. You should vote together, because the public has not liked what they've done at the airports. And they've done it, and the public understands it. They've gotten wise to them. Republicans do not settle with Democrats and let them out of this hole that they've buried themselves in. You have to take the votes in the Senate to approve. You need votes to approve. We have to get Democrat votes. And at a certain point, if you could get rid of the filibuster, it would be great. It would be great. Get rid of the filibuster and get it all done. So we'll get it done. We want another thing. We can, or we don't have to, add those other items. And by the way, they say they're 80-20 items. They're not 80-20. They're 99-1. Men playing in women's sports is a 99-1. You look at transgender mutilization of our children, that's a 99-1, and we have that in the bill too. So they won't sign it, then let the people reject them, and what we have to do is we have to win the midterms. This is the most important election, because all of the gains that we've made, we built the greatest economy, the greatest military. I built the military in my first term, and we built the greatest military in the world. We're showing it now with Venezuela, with Iran. Everybody knows we have the greatest, most powerful military in the world. And we're in a position that we haven't seen. We're respected. You know, our country now is respected all over the world. A year and a half ago, we were a laughingstock. We were a laughingstock. The King of Saudi Arabia told me a year and a half ago, he said, "President, I can't believe what's happened to America. 1 year ago, you were a laughingstock. Nobody thought you could ever survive. Now you're the hottest country." Use that expression. He said, now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world. And we are now. Congratulations, because we're all partners in this deal. You're the hottest country anywhere in the world. It's really amazing. So I congratulate you. It's a great feeling, because we were laughed at for 4 years with this guy that should have never been president. So I'm tying Homeland Security into voter identification with picture and proof of citizenship in order to vote. And those two items are the most important thing having to do with Homeland Security. So it should be part of the Homeland Security bill. And I'm requesting that the Republican senators do that immediately. You don't have to take a fast vote. Don't worry about Easter going home. In fact, make this one for Jesus, okay? Make this one for Jesus. That's what I tell them. It would be a damn good thing. The most important part of Homeland Security is voter ID and proof of citizenship. Nobody can vote on Homeland Security without voter ID or proof of citizenship. And you can't have Homeland Security without voter ID or proof of citizenship. So we're tying them together. So now, if you don't mind, let's get to the reason why I'm in Memphis and why you're doing so well. Because Fred Smith, everybody know Fred Smith? He was a friend of mine, and he created, from a sort of failed report at like Harvard or whatever, he did a business report, a concept he had, that was his thesis, a concept he had to build a company, and it was FedEx. So he gave this thing where he takes packages, he delivers them, who the heck knows what he put down. Bottom line is they gave him a lousy mark. I don't know if they passed him or not, but they didn't give him a good mark. They say, this is the most ridiculous business plan we've ever seen Fred, go back to the drawing board and try something else because this won't work. Well, he decided to go for it, and he built FedEx, and it's an amazing story. And he was a very good friend of mine. But he would tell me that he didn't know what to do about Memphis. It was so dangerous that they would have a board meeting, and the board members, they were demanded that they could not walk 1 block to their hotel. You know the hotel I'm talking about. It was so dangerous. And now they tell me this is the place. It's like Washington, D.C. In Washington, D.C., we had the same thing, and now it's amazing.